Welcome to the Altcoin Hour, your weekly alpha. Yeah, we breaking down the charts, flipping bags, playing smart, from the dips to the moon shots, connecting all the dots. Let's get it. Let's get it. Altcoin Hour. Altcoin. Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the show. Hope everybody's doing very, very well. And hopefully we're gonna probably join the press conference here in a little bit, and then we'll get into the show. I think I had some malfunctions here. Hold on. Hopefully you guys can see me. What's going on here? Let me see. There we go. I think I got it. Okay. Welcome to the show. There we go. So we had some brief little tech issues. That's the second week. I don't know. I gotta get another client. But anyway, again, hand clap to you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. We have an actual. Before we go, I want to catch this press conference. You got a Carolyn Levitt. She's going to be giving us a spectacular press conference here. We'll kind of chime into it. You got like over 15,000 people that are waiting on this. On the X page, White House X page. So, and of course, we're probably going to get some war updates. We'll start with the show, and then we'll segue to that. Welcome to the show, LMFG. How you doing, brother? Can you hear me? Welcome to the show. Well, you ready for it, bro? We were going to start. I was going to get knee deep into the itinerary, but I think we got a press conference. I think we must. Cover this and react to it. It's probably going to be pretty interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just listening to it for a little bit.
Let's see here. So they already going? It's already going?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I wonder why I'm not getting any feeds on that. Let me see here. Yeah, I wanted to get into it, but I'm not seeing anything, I guess. I don't know. It says it's live, but I don't know. Hold on, and I'm gonna get into Blumenthal's actual presser too, because he says a lot of some crazy things too today. I want to get into that. Let me see if I can find this, because this is definitely what I wanted to actually get a hold of. Let me see here if I can find this.
She was watching it on YouTube.
Oh, so okay. Got you. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. It's not showing. It's just showing live. So you're getting live coverage of this? All I'm seeing is like a live signal. Dang, I wanted to. Do you have a link to it? Apparently, my links are not working.
Whatever that is, that's different, because what I was watching was live, but she was with Trump, and now it looks like they're just sitting in a conference room, in a press room.
Okay, so are they in front of the press? Because what I'm seeing here is, I'll show you. What's going on, Tim? I'm trying to wait before I really get into the show, because I want to get this presser. And it says Caroline. Is Caroline actually talking to the press? Because I don't see it at this point in time. I don't think she's talking right now. I could be wrong though, but I want to catch this before I get into Blumenthal, before I get into the full report. Yeah, I don't think.
Not yet. She's not there yet.
Okay, cool. That's what's up then. Yeah, I wanted to make sure. So that makes sense now why I don't see anything. So we'll wait. We'll go ahead and wait, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, we'll definitely see how that goes. So again, welcome to the show, brother. We got a lot to get into today. We're definitely going to be talking about this in a. Okay, I got a lot of shit going on. Okay, so I think I'm good now. I got it all queued up. As soon as we get Caroline on the screen, we're going to switch to that, because this is going to be probably an epic presser, and I think she's going to go off. Did you hear this? The actual stuff about Susie Wiles actually leaving LMFG. She's thinking about leaving. I think she's already gone. Did you hear that? Because I know that's your favorite.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But if it's true, I believe it, because I didn't think she was going to last but a couple days with him.
It's been one hell of a week, right? I don't know, man. We're going to go ahead and start the show, and we'll get into that, because I got a lot to get into. We're going to be definitely get into the Bitcoin, the oil situation. We're going to get into the Iraq war. I got some updates we're going to get into on that. We're going to talk about altcoins as well. And let's go ahead and get into the Bitcoin stuff real quick. I believe this is just me, right? This is just me, but in LMFG, I'm pretty sure you are on the same page. Are you trusting this pump? Because we're gonna talk about what's actually internally, going on here. Obviously some ETF inflow, obviously some institutional inflow. Michael Saylor stock jumped up pretty good. You have some really good. I don't want to call it fake news, but you have Trump pumping the market essentially. The G7 ministry did meet today when it comes to releasing some of the oil, right? They're not going to do it LMFG. They don't see a strategic risk at this point in time due to the fact that, Trump's faking out the whole world when he's saying we're going to end this war. I don't think he can control that at this point in time. What's going on the ground and what's being reported, there's a huge gap of truth. But this is pumping the market, bro. This is actually pumping stocks too as well. We'll get into the stocks too because they're green. I'm looking at oil. It is moving down. Brent is at 85. Crude WTI is at 80, pushing 79. That's a major retraction. What's your take, bro?
Yeah, and now watch what happens because I don't know what it was. Within 24 hours, they bounced the gas here, I think 50 cents, and within 2 days it went up to like 70. So we were at like $3.30 a gallon, 255, 260 before this.
Yeah,
and now all of a sudden it comes back down, and that right to me is price gouging because they already had their gas. There's no reason for what they hold to charge us that. I hope he tries to go after them for it. Or somebody does, because to me that's price gouging, and now watch this down. It's going to take 2 weeks for them to drop the price. I think it went down to like 310 here today, but it's all bull. It's crazy.
Well,
we'll see.
I totally agree with you. There's already been some selling. All right. So this is within the last, let's go ahead and say the last 5 or 6 hours. This is what we're zooming in on. Beautiful, trajectory. It's a trap. Because a lot of it is false narrative. Now, you have a lot of institutions that are buying the dip. Obviously, these guys are betting strong. Saylor's betting strong. He's weirdly, strangely betting straight. He's betting the whole house on it. The whole farm. All the acreage. This is where this guy's going all in. So, but what really caught my attention is you have like long-term holders, guys. Winklevoss twins. They pretty much dumped their bag, right? So these long-term holders in these whales, including these miners, they're waiting on $75,000. They're waiting on 75 to hit. And I believe if this war continues, which I think it's going to continue, LMFG, you might differ. When we hit 75K, you're going to see one of the most just ultra drops in Bitcoin all the way down to 60K because a lot of these guys, they're ready to leave. They understand what's going on over there overseas. They understand the actual choke point that Iran has set up in the Strait of Hormuz, and they're ready to go. LMFG, they're ready to get out. I think if we do breach resistance, which is around 74,000, a lot of these guys are going to get the hell out of Dodge. And you already know Mara and Kona, these big time mining conglomerates, they're already filing their paperwork to sell their treasuries, to liquidate. They're not making money. So I think this particular resistance level that we have here, which I haven't, and let me see, I had a bookmark here. My projections when it comes to 74,000. This is where I'm at. A lot of people put it at 73. I'm gonna go ahead and say 74, between 72 and 74 is going to be my resistance call where we sit to this day, because you have a lot of volume coming in right now. If Trump comes out and says the right thing, right? If oil remains, if it continues to retract, I believe that we're going to hit 75. LMFG, I think we're going to see a massive sell-off at 75. What's your take on that?
I was just checking the heat maps. I don't know. Yeah, I could see it. You know what I mean? All the limit orders are probably already set.
Exactly.
We won't know until we get there, brother. Again, I like I said, I'm long term on this stuff. All of this stuff is just smoke and mirrors to me. Yeah. You'll figure it out. A couple of years, we get all the laws down pat, and then you're going to see that's where the blockchain technology rocks and rolls.
Yeah. I totally agree. Long term, me and you both are tech guys. We're invested heavily in the tech. invested heavily in tokenization, RWA platforms. Did you catch that ADA article that I sent you earlier? Did you get a chance to go over that? Because we're going to touch on that, because that is crazy. And I'm seeing Charles as a seer. He saw this a long time ago. You can tell. I don't know if you caught that. If you got a little review on that, because we're going to get into that, because a lot of these fast blockchains, they may have took the wrong avenue. They may have took the wrong route, because when it comes to governance, when it comes to what we see with the MiCA, that may be a copy and paste. That may be the blueprint across the board, across the world when it comes to regulations. And that particular language is very, very, very ultrally bullish on governance, ultrally bullish on oversight. And from what I'm reading, from what I'm getting, the slower, the better, because it's easier to implant that oversight. If your blockchain is blazing fast, we're talking Speedy Gonzalez fast, right? It's kind of hard to do that with the technology they're working with. They're not that fast. So 88, I think they may have gotten that right, bro. And everybody was making so much fun about how slow the chain was, how archaic it was, how the development was so slow in the direction that it was going. Everybody was like, what are we doing? We need more memes. We need more memes. I think he knew what the hell he was doing, bro. So I don't know if you caught that. See if you want to get caught up before we get into it, because, as a techie, it makes me want to buy a whole, and listen, I'm not, giving financial advice. This is just me, guys. I'm very excited about what I'm finding out here, because it makes me want to even buy even more. So I want you to check that out. Look at your DM, check that out before we get into it, so you can review it a little bit, because I want to get your take on that. Let's see here. I want to check real quick. No, so we're still waiting on that pressure. So $70,000. Let's get a little out view of the altcoin market, because we did get some rotation. I think Bitcoin is going to hold this until after the pressure. I really do. I think after this pressure, you're going to see a massive dump in this, and hopefully it doesn't go too far down. What do you think, bro? What is your actual predictions for this presser? Because we know how Carolina's probably going to defend everything. She's probably going to come out and defend everything he said over the past 5 days, including Hegseth. What is your prediction? Are you bullish on this presser?
Yeah, so I guess what I saw earlier, they were in the Oval Office with her, and it looked like maybe a dozen reporters, and they were all over the place. So they were about the cartels, heavily on the cartel stuff. So
yeah, I don't blame them.
Come out. You know what I mean? I only caught like 5-10 minutes of it.
Yeah. I think it's
preliminary, I guess, of what she's going to come out and say.
Okay. It sounds about right. I would be worried about the cartel too, because this is a perfect time for them to sneak attack up. Yeah, especially coming up from the south. I'm not trying to talk that into fruition. I really don't wish that, but I'm just saying, I would be worried about the cartel too, because we're overextended when it comes to all our resources right now. It's not a good situation to be in. So Bitcoin 70K, we'll see if it holds, right? Ethereum over 2K. You're seeing a lot of rotative activity going into the altcoins, which is bullish. A lot of green. We knew that was going to happen. A couple of days of red usually equates to some rotation after good news occurs. And then Trump said he was going to end this war. He said it was a complete situation. This is when you've seen the pumpage start happening. So yeah, BNB, it's still stuck at $644. LMFG, XRP, a lot of underwater wallets when it comes to that situation, but it is pumping a little bit. It's Bitcoin is pulling these alts up. It's a fictitious altcoin pump, because there's really no substance for the altcoins. The only substance is a Bitcoin tugging away at these altcoin sectors, pulling them along. LMFG grasping all of the basket, the entire altcoin basket, and Bitcoin is pulling them up, right? Because we haven't really heard any news from this. Well, some ADA news, maybe Hyperliquid, some pretty bullish news there. But as far as all the rest of them, there's really no reason for them substantively for the pump. All you have to do is attribute it to Bitcoin, moving up over 70K. So and that moves the alts up without any substance. So you're looking at XRP again, $1.40, Solana 87, trying to get back to 90. That retail basically floor is collapsing. But it's a weird dynamic, because you have Solana's TVL, great TVL, but you have the retail exodus. You have a lot of the small and the midterm wallets. They're running LMFG. and they're running to stable coins essentially. So I believe that may rotate back. And we talk about consolidating. We talk about that life raft. Some people go to Bitcoin, some people go to Ethereum. I wouldn't necessarily go to Ethereum. I necessarily go to the stable coins and I get yield because you can still do that. What's your take on rotation? Are you going to metals, LMFG? Or are you going to stable coins like most people are? Most people are cashing those stable coins out. I actually just park them in DeFi and I get yield, and then I rotate back when everything starts looking good. How are you moving?
Yeah, I'm not moving at all. Just about. I just sit there and hold on to it.
I think we lost your mic, brother.
Yeah, I'm a mineral investor, so it's a little bit. It's almost not worth it to me to take the loss or to move it around. I just sit DCA on the blue chips, you know. And I got my son and my friends. Everybody's like, "Are you kidding me?" And they're all putting money up on Coinbase. They're paying the Coinbase one, getting their 4.4%.
Absolutely.
So at least you got something, you know. I don't know. I'm just holding on and DCAing when I can.
I think that's the perfect way to do it. Unless you just want to get froggy. If you really want to take the risk, because we're risk off. You got a slight risk on, sentiment right here, but we're risk off. Most people are risk off. They're not trying to lose any more money. And you look at the RSI and everybody's kind of confused. They're stuck in the middle. They don't know what to do. So they're hodling, So hopefully you're hodling something that's worth hodling. You know what I mean? Because that's the main thing. You want to be holding something that's worth holding. If you're holding a dud, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yep. If you're holding a dud, if you're holding a meme right now, God bless you. And if you're holding an altcoin or a blockchain coin that's dead, God bless you. I hope the best for you. I just hope you're holding something that's going to actually appreciate over time, because this is a hell of a hold, especially going through this. And I don't think the war is going to be over. We're going to be getting into some war coverage in a little bit too as well. Got some videos, Blumenthal, some Hexet, hilarious videos from Hexet. It's crazy. Iran is not giving up, guys. I have to tell you, LMFG, we'll get to that in here a little bit. Dogecoin 9 cents, Tron 28 cents. Stable coin. That's what I call Tron. It just doesn't move, and when it does, Justin Sun, he completely pumps it back up. So I think he gets embarrassed when he gets into the red. I think the founder of Tron, when this thing gets around 24 cents, he gets a little embarrassed about it and he pumps it up. I don't think I've ever seen it lower than 20 cents. I don't know about you. Cardano, 26 cents. Really good news when it comes to that stack. LMFG, hopefully you're reading that. And because I know you're going to be pretty happy about that report.
Exactly what I saw 5 years ago, dude. Yep. It's how much I believe in it. Peer reviewing, that's what was the big fight back in 2014 with McCaleb and Buterin. And that's when he walked away and said, "You guys have a nice day." And then McCaleb took off too. No, not McCaleb. I get mixed up with the names, but the guys that founded it.
Right. Justin Sun was one of them that kind of like splintered off too.
And all his peer reviewing, the colleges that he's all involved with. That's why I say it's blockchain version 3, and everybody's it's slow as a piece of shit. I said, okay, when regulations come, you're going to be like, okay, what else you need? No problem. And they don't have to rebuild anything. It's there.
Yeah. You know what? I think he had a crystal ball. Either this guy has a time machine. Oh, he has a crystal ball.
He's that smart. He's like Musk, the vision. These guys, their vision, they're brainiacs, but at the same time, they got these crazy ass visions. And here we are. Now, you see what he just did with stem cells. He helped push that bill through in Wyoming, and that's where his clinic is. So watch what happens here. As I've been saying for years, stem cells, you don't need a pharmacy.
You really don't. You really don't. I read something about wisdom tooth and your wisdom tooth, your teeth, the wisdom ones, they're jam-packed with stem cells. I don't know if that's true, but I read something about that, They can harvest like really good stem cells from your wisdom tooth or something like that. I don't know. It's a conspiracy piece, but it was saying that's why they don't give them back to you. When you get your wisdom tooth pulled, if you don't ask for it, they're not going to give it back to you. Yeah, they say they sell those on the black. I don't know, man. It was a conspiracy, piece I read. But I do believe that that's true about the wisdom tooth. That's lots of stem cells there within those specific teeth, and that's a little bit off the subject. But Bitcoin Cash Cardano, the Cardano thing. I think this guy's a time traveler, because It's like he knew what was going to happen years before it happened. And ADA, apparently with the new current updates, you can plug this thing right into the micro regulations, and it's very regulatable. And then the speed. This is what was crazy about that article. Everybody made so much fun of how slow ADA was. Oh, it's archaic. It's a dinosaur. Nobody's gonna want it, bro. That freaking ecosystem is perfect for governance. It's perfect for oversight. And if you match it up with the micro language, which apparently, and I said this almost 2 years ago, that is going to be the actual model for language across the board. It's coming. People are going to be copying and pasting that shit. The ADA infrastructure, that chain, that stack is perfect for the speed. The speed is perfect because when it comes to oversight, really super fast blockchains. Now we can talk market share all you want. ETH is going to win there. But when it comes to oversight, when it comes to AML, when it comes to, any type of government intervention, just it's oversight in general, the slower the better. LMFG. It's easier to monitor and to actually have great oversight when it comes to these regulatory agencies. If your blockchain is flying in light speed like Solana, it's very hard for these guys. They're not built for that. They got to catch up to that. It is ready. It is ready. And it's crazy because everybody made fun of this chain. It's that nonsense, bro. So I'm not trying to tell everybody to go buy it. Do your research. But we'll get into this article too that solidifies the thesis, if you will. Chainlink, $8. It was $9 LMFG. We did have Hyperliquid doing some really, really good movement with that perp coin. What happened to Aster? Because I thought Aster was supposed to take over Hyperliquid. I thought it was supposed to flip Hyperliquid and take up over that volume and all the usership. Aster is ass right now. You remember that? All that push, all those KOLs. What happened to Aster, bro?
Yeah, I have no idea. I've seen that. And I even caught Waddy on that a while ago. He was off hot on it,
Yeah, I remember all those guys, promoting Aster.
He and went over to Aster, I think.
He did, yeah. Well, I wonder what Waddy, that's my boy. I got to get in contact with Waddy, man. I wonder how he's doing. But yeah, there was a lot of big KOL push on Aster, and it is non-existent. I don't even know what it is, It is what it is, right? Monero, I think I had a member that was asking me, about Zcash, Dash Network, or I recommended Monero. I really did because Zcash is probably going to die. They had a massive collapse. That particular situation imploded and it marched all the way up to almost $1,000. And then it just imploded. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. And that's an OG prophecy protocol. I like XMR over Dash, and Dash is OG as well. So, just for that member, I remember you're asking me that. I forgot the member but I did respond to that. My recommendation, I still like XMR, the OG. Dash Network, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's at a good price, but I don't know. It's OG too as well. As far as Zcash, I'm out. I've been holding Zcash for years. I got out when that thing hit 700. I was gone. I'm not even gonna joke. That was massive profits for me. So when it hit $700, I was out. If I would have held, like most people tell, hold, be greedy. I would have lost all that LMFG. So I'm going to ask you this. When is it time to sell, bro? When do you sell? I mean, do you hold forever? I mean, you have to have some type of an exit strategy. Am I right? Oh, I think the pressure's starting.
Yeah, or my thing is if you can get into that, you see 300%, at least take your investment out and sit back. That's my advice there. You know,
no, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you hold to wait for 300%?
No, man. You take your profit, bro.
Yeah, as you weigh up, just little, just take a little bit here and there as it goes.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get into this presser.
Host a Women's History Month event in the East Room. And on Friday, the president will sign several executive orders, and we will provide more details on those later this week. As President Trump shared with the American people last night, the United States military is making tremendous strides towards achieving our military objectives for Operation Epic Fury. 10 days in, this campaign has been a resounding success thus far, and America's warriors are winning this important fight at an even faster pace.
Oh my God, here we go.
More than 5,000 enemy targets have been struck so far. Iran's ballistic missile attacks are down more than 90%, and their drone attacks are down by approximately 85% since the start of Operation Epic Fury. The United States is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy, and we have destroyed more than 50 Iranian naval vessels, including a major drone carrier ship. None of the regime's vessels are operating in major regional waterways, and the Iranian Navy has been assessed as combat ineffective. The trend is clear. U.S. combat capabilities are increasing and growing more lethal and dominant by the day, while the Iranian terrorist regime's ability to respond has rapidly declined. Now, the U.S. military is moving to dismantle Iran's missile production infrastructure. Our incredible B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs on deeply buried missile sites. Last night, President Trump reiterated his commitment toward keeping oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz so the United States and all of our allies can receive their energy needs. President Trump will not allow rogue Iranian terrorists to stop the freedom of navigation and the free flow of energy. Let me be clear. It is a good thing to wipe out terrorists who indiscriminately target civilians and attempt to hold the global economy hostage, and President Trump should be commended for doing so. As the president made unequivocally clear to the remaining elements of this terrorist regime in his statement yesterday, if they do anything to stop the flow of oil or goods within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the world's most powerful military 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. Moving forward, the stated objectives for Operation Epic Fury remain the same: destroy the terrorist regime's ballistic missiles, raise their Iranian missile industry to the ground, ensure their terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region, and ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. President Trump remains confident these goals will be accomplished in swift fashion. As for the oil, President Trump fully expected the rogue Iranian regime to try and disrupt the global markets. That's why President Trump and his energy team have been planning for this long before the strike and have moved quickly to address these temporary disruptions. Thus far, the Trump administration has offered political risk insurance to tankers operating in the Gulf. The Treasury temporarily waived certain oil-related sanctions, and the Commander-in-Chief has offered the U.S. Navy to escort tankers when necessary. The president and his energy team are closely watching the markets, speaking with industry leaders, and the U.S. military is drawing up additional options following the president's directive to continue keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. I will not broadcast what those options look like, but just know the president is not afraid to use them. Rest assured to the American people, the recent increase in oil and gas prices is temporary, and this operation will result in lower gas prices in the long term. Once the national security objectives of Operation Epic Fury are fully achieved, Americans will see oil and gas prices drop rapidly, potentially even lower than they were prior to the start of the operation. And we will live in a world where Iran can no longer threaten the United States or our allies with a nuclear bomb. On another matter here at home, President Trump is urging Congress to pass the Save America Act, one of the most critical pieces of legislation in our nation's history. The Save America Act is overwhelmingly popular with all Americans because each provision is rooted in common sense. The Save America Act has 5 simple requirements as requested by the President of the United States. Number 1, voters have to show ID to cast a ballot in an American election. Very simple. 90% of Americans, including more than 80% of Democrat voters, agree with this. Number 2, the Save America Act will require all voters to show proof of citizenship in order to register to vote in American elections. Again, this is popular and rooted in common sense. Only American citizens have the right to vote in American elections. But after Joe Biden and the Democrats allowed tens of
This is a hot
illegal
topic
aliens
right
into
here,
our country,
LMFG.
it's more important than ever to ensure that only American citizens are registering to vote on our nation's voter rolls, and Congress needs to pass this. Number 3, the Save America Act abolishes the incredibly unsecure practice of universal mail-in ballots, which throw the door wide open for fraud. Importantly, the Save America Act maintains exceptions for Americans to use mail-in ballots for illness, disability, military, or travel reasons. The bipartisan 2005 report of the Commission on Federal Election Reform, chaired by, of all people, former President Jimmy Carter and former Secretary of State James Baker, concluded that, quote, absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud, and it is time for Congress to finally address this. Number 4, the Save America Act permanently bans men from competing in women's sports. President Trump signed a landmark executive order upholding
I think that was a no-brainer. What do you think, bro?
ending
No-brainer.
this dangerous and unfair practice. But now it's time for Congress to codify this into law. Number 5, the Save America Act bans transgender mutilation surgery for children. Again, President Trump
this is a
signed
really
Congress
big hot topic right here.
to do this and kept his promise to the American people, but now Congress needs to do the same and codify it. It's well past time for Democrats in Congress to stop perpetuating the radical and false claim that you can somehow change a child's sex. You cannot. Passing the Save America Act is the most important thing that Republicans and, frankly, Democrats can do to strengthen election integrity and protect our democracy. It's what the American people elected Republicans to do, and they must deliver on it as soon as possible. The president is calling on Congress to get the job done and send this historic piece of legislation to his desk immediately for signature. So with that today, I will take your questions. Benny, thank you.
Oh, here we go. I got some updates on that.
So my first question
The
is
hormones,
actually about the Save America
the straight,
Act. So
not good.
One of the biggest
We'll get into it in a
things
minute.
the Democrats are saying, the claims that they're making, is that the Save America Act, it would prevent married women from voting in elections or make it harder for them. What do you have to say to those claims? Is there any validity to them?
What?
And where do you think they're getting this from?
There is zero validity to these claims, and I'm glad
It makes no sense.
because you have the Democrats who have created this myth, and it has been perpetuated, unfortunately, by many in the mainstream media. Let me be very clear. The Save America Act does not prohibit anyone from voting with the exception of illegal aliens. And the greatest way to disenfranchise American citizens from voting in American elections is to allow illegal aliens to vote, which is what Democrats want to do. We see it taking place in Democrat jurisdictions at the state and local level across this country. So the Save America Act corrects that. And as far as married women who have changed their name, if they're already registered to vote, they're entirely unaffected by the SAVE Act. And for the small fraction of individuals who have changed their name or their address, they can still register to vote, of course. They just have to go through their state processes to update that documentation. And this is something that the American people, married women, and minorities, and people all across this country who Democrats are insultingly saying.
No, absolutely, sir.
They're already doing
It's
it
very
every day,
clear.
going to the Social Security office, going to the DMV, and I think it's frankly insulting that the Democrats are saying that there are certain groups of people in this country who aren't smart enough to update their documentation to allow them to vote. Again,
Right.
it's a huge myth, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to address it.
That was ridiculous. Married women excluded. It makes no damn sense, bro.
3+ weeks now.
But people
I was
believe those
actually
lies. You know what I'm
at the
saying?
airport this morning in St. Louis, Missouri, and it was early in the morning, and one of the TSA agents, I saw her, she was kind of tearing up, she was crying, and I asked her, I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, I can't make my phone payment, I can barely make my car payment that's coming up. I think a lot in the Beltway, there's so much noise between Democrats, Republicans. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Republicans' fault.
Yep.
But what is the White House's message to the American people that are struggling because they're not getting that paycheck? It's take away the politics. What do you have to say to those people?
Absolutely.
President Trump wants the Department of Homeland Security. He wants TSA, he wants FEMA, he wants the brave men and women of our United States Coast Guard to receive their paychecks, and he wants this department to be fully funded and fully reopened. And so to any American out there who is struggling without a paycheck, we know there's more than 100,000 of you across the country. To any American out
it's
there
more than that.
showing up to an airport and facing
Well over a million.
incredibly long wait times and lines, call your Democrat member of Congress and tell them to fund the Department of Homeland Security. That's what President Trump wants to do, and it's completely ridiculous that the American people are suffering as a result of these partisan games that are being played by Democrats on Capitol Hill. Thank you.
You can't just, bro, this is what pisses me off. You can't just continue to blame the Democrats, you know?
Timeline for how long the war will last.
So look, as you
They
know,
gotta work
the
together on this.
President and the U.S. military's initial timeline was about 4 to 6 weeks to achieve the full objectives of Operation Epic Fury. Again, to destroy their missiles and their ability to make them, destroy their Navy, permanently deny them nuclear weapons forever and to, of course, weaken their evil terrorist proxies in the region. We know that the U.S. military and our brave warfighters are quickly and expeditiously executing these objectives well ahead of schedule, but ultimately the operations will end when the
that's
commander-in-chief,
false.
determines the military objectives have been met, fully realized, and that Iran is in
Okay, bro.
a position of complete and
I'll watch for you in the back.
surrender, whether they say it or not.
Does the president still want Iran's unconditional surrender?
Well, when President Trump says that Iran is in a place of unconditional surrender, he's not claiming the Iranian regime is going to come out and say that themselves. What the president means is that Iran's threats will no longer be backed by a ballistic missile arsenal that protects them from building a nuclear bomb in their country. I could make an empty threat, but if I have no actions to back it up, then it's an empty threat. And so President Trump will determine when Iran is in a place of unconditional surrender, when they no longer pose a credible and direct threat to the United States of America and our allies. Adriana.
Yeah, it's going to be a forever war.
Explain
because
why
Iran is
the
not
Energy
giving up.
Secretary posted and then appeared to have deleted a post on X saying that the U.S. Navy escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes, I was made aware of this post. I haven't had a chance to talk to the Energy Secretary about it directly. However, I know the post was taken down pretty quickly, and I can confirm that the U.S. Navy has not escorted a tanker or a vessel at this time.
Wow.
Of course, that's an option the president has said he will absolutely utilize if and when necessary at the appropriate
I was
time.
about to address that too. LMFG, that's all over X. Every account is spam texting that, and it was fake.
What, I guess,
It was a fake tweet.
will there be any consequences for this? I know you
And I'm going to show you why.
but just
There will be no
generally-
escorts.
Again, I would defer you to the Department of Energy to answer that question.
That's crazy, man. Who's in control, LMFG? Who's in control of the actual X page? Because that came from the X page, an official X page,
Would those be
which was a total lie. I don't understand what's going on with the administration, bro.
Sure. I know it's something that the Treasury Department and the President's energy team continue to discuss, and they will ultimately consult with the President before decisions are made. I don't have any announcements on new sanctions or the lifting of new sanctions for you today. Alex.
Thank you. Reuters has reported that about 150 U.S. Service members have been injured so far.
It's over 1,200. That was out of the UK. UK is reporting 1,200 soldiers injured, and who knows how many have perished.
For a specific number of wounded or injured thus far.
And then secondly, if I can, I wanted to ask about, excuse me, there was a briefing on the Capitol Hill today, and some senators came out and said they were more convinced than ever that there would be U.S. boots on the ground. Senator Blumenthal said that, in fact.
Yeah, we're about to get into Blumenthal's actual presser.
Any update on President Trump's thinking about it?
Look, I would say that Democrats on Capitol Hill are clearly being quite disingenuous. 3 years ago, not a single Democrat voted against the resolution condemning Iran as the world's leading state sponsor of terror. Yet now, with President Trump as commander-in-chief finally taking the action that so many Democrats have called on the commander-in-chief to do for many, many years to wipe out the threat of a rogue Iranian terrorist regime, now all of a sudden Democrats are playing politics with this long-standing bipartisan policy of the United States, and 53 of them in the House recently voted against the resolution condemning Iran as the world's state sponsor of terror. So I wouldn't take Democrats at their word. As for boots on the ground, the president has talked about this repeatedly. Wisely, he does not rule options out as commander-in-chief. So again, I would hesitate to confirm anything that a Democrat on Capitol Hill says right now about the president's thinking. Garrett.
Kellen, you outlined to Steve the military components of what would be involved in ending this war, but it seems like there's a political component too. The president said to Fox earlier today that he doesn't believe the new Ayatollah can live in peace. He made a variety of comments suggesting that he should be involved in picking the new Iranian leader. Is the ending of this war
it's not gonna
also
happen.
contingent on Iran selecting a leader that the president finds acceptable? And if so, how is that not the definition of a regime change war?
Look, as President Trump has blatantly and frankly stated, it's obviously within the best interest of the United States and the West to no longer have a radical terrorist in charge of Iran. especially as we see their reaction to Operation Epic Fury. They had their missiles turned towards our Gulf and Arab partners in the region. Again, this was a regime that chanted, or still chants, death to America. We look at the way that they are holding the entire world hostage with the restricting of the free flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz. So the president, I think, is making quite an obvious comment. Again, as for the timeline of the military operations with respect to Iran, we have objectives that we have laid out that the commander-in-chief wants to see achieved. When they are achieved, then it will ultimately be up to the president to end this operation.
Okay, so I think you're not exactly addressing my question, though. Is that political objective also necessary for the president to decide to end this war?
Look, again, I just told you the objectives of Operation Epic Fury. When those objectives are met, the president will dictate the end of these operations when he deems that Iran no longer poses a credible threat to
Yeah,
the
this is
United
finna tank the
States of America.
markets.
And
I
again,
knew
comes
it
back
was.
to
I
what
was
is
just
that
waiting on it.
unconditional surrender
This is
look
about to
like?
tank the
Iran
markets.
can talk all they want, and their words
There's
will
no
be
end to
very
this
empty
war.
when
There's
we
no
see the
plan. There's no
United States doing what
strategy.
we are doing when we've taken out the threat of their ballistic missile capability, when we can firmly, finally ensure that they can no longer make a nuclear bomb to threaten the United States
Yep,
and our
there we go.
allies and our troops in the region. And that's what
Bitcoin is
President
starting to
Trump
pull
is
back.
ultimately seeking to do with respect to this operation. Jennifer.
There was a shooting outside of a synagogue in Baltimore. Do you know if the president has been briefed on that, and do you have any more details on what happened?
I don't, but we certainly will get you more details, Jennifer. And I don't know if the president has briefed, but I'll check on that when I get back to the Oval Office.
Yeah, Bitcoin is pulling back pretty hard right now. We're about to hit 69 again.
Yesterday, for the first time, that he had to strike Iran because he believes that Iran was going to strike U.S. targets within 7 days, and then he bumped that down later to 3 days. Where is he getting that?
Well, that's not the first time the president has said that he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury because he felt as though Iran was going to strike the United States and our assets in the region first. Again, I addressed this in the last.
He said,
this was a
did
feeling
you
the president
catch
had
that, bro?
gone fast.
Apparently his son-in-law
By his
had a lot to do with
negotiators who had been
that
engaged with
decision.
the Iranian regime in a
Kushner.
good faith effort. The Iranian regime was lying, deceiving the United States of America, clearly trying to continue their nuclear program to create a bomb that would, of course, threaten the United States of America. Again, their ballistic missile arsenal, they were
This is embarrassing.
aggressively increasing that by the month to a place where they would essentially build immunity for themselves, where a future president or President Trump would not be able to launch this incredibly successful operation. And so the president, again, as I have reiterated and he has said, was not going to sit back and allow
It's
the
not
Iranians
successful.
to,
LMFG.
threaten
All the
or
bases have
attack the
been
United
literally
States of America.
inhabitably destroyed.
Leaders or his
Our bases
who
are
making
in
those
shambles.
same
They had
claims. So
they're moving out of
basically,
Kuwait. I think Kuwait they're actually mobilizing
decision
out of
to go
Kuwait
down.
because that base was
The president did not
decimated. I
make
mean,
any
I don't know,
progress.
bro.
He is
I
looking
can't
at
say
this
we're
every
winning.
single day based on
It's a
intelligence,
very, very good
based on
effort.
facts,
We're still
and based on
ongoing. It's a
intelligence
conflict.
that he
But
himself and his
we're not
negotiators
winning,
have,
bro. We've lost a lot of
have
bases, a lot of
concluded based on
assets.
their, again, negotiations
I don't know if that
with the
constitutes
pro-Iranian regime
winning.
over the past year. And the president and his team tried in a good faith way to reach a diplomatic deal through peaceful
I could be
means
wrong.
with the
I don't
Iranian
know.
regime. And Iran chose this path to death and destruction. Iran wanted to attack the United States of America, and the president was not going to sit back and allow that to happen. He was not going to sit back and allow that to happen, and everyone in this room should be grateful for it. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions for you. One has to do with a follow-up to your statement that you made at the beginning of the briefing regarding the Save America Act.
Sure.
Yesterday, the Senate majority...
Boy, he saved her. He saved her, LMFG.
The effort to potentially have a filibuster.
All right, so we're getting back on the Save Act. I want to, we'll get back to this.
Use the filibuster, and the votes aren't there for
Now, here's, we're going to be talking about the, let me go ahead and get to this. So,
what's your reaction to what Senator Fitz said?
Look, I think President Trump, the urgency.
this is
behind
pertaining to the
Save America
recent,
Act, his desire to
really
have
weird
this
tweet
country-saving
that went out
legislation
here.
passed has been made quite clear. He wants all options
And,
on the
and this
table.
one in particular,
He
all
wants
right,
to move
I'm going to
quickly.
cut her down just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to pause it. We'll get back to this because
regarding the president's trip tomorrow, looking ahead, why
this is misinformation.
Ohio?
I'm going to pause it right here. LMFG. So the actual tweet about the actual, which made oil prices dump. I think they went down another $5. And we're talking about the actual escort. Now, this tweet went out, and apparently this came from an official, government, X page, apparently. So, and it read, U.S. Navy, well, Insider, basically, everybody, all the large accounts are copying that paste, and then they're making it their own, right? Just for, engagement and things of that nature. They didn't check it. They didn't double check it. I've been a victim of this as well. But you would think if you're getting this information from a government site, a government page with a gray check mark, you're going to take it for what it is, right? It's got to be the truth, right? LMFG. This was a false tweet. They actually deleted this tweet immediately. U.S. Navy successfully escorts oil tanker through Strait of Hormuz. This was a lie. This is a complete lie. This actually dropped the oil prices another 5% after this went out, okay? And then another tweet came out and said that, President Trump is going to be, requesting more of these escorts through the Strait. This is not going to happen. Now, this is what's going on with oil right now. It spiked right up past 87. It's getting back towards $90 a barrel again because everybody's really pissed off about this misreporting. They're really upset about being faked out. This is manipulation at its best when it comes to markets. Trump said he was going to complete the war, and then we're hearing we're not going to go anywhere. In fact, Blumenthal, we're going to get to what he just said. We're putting boots on the ground. So this is not going to end anytime soon. There will be no escorts. And this actually dropped, right? LMFG, I want to get your take on this. Look, this comes out. Look at what's going on in Iran here. Oil prices are surging because U.S. intelligence has detected that Iran may be deploying that. I checked this out during her speech. They are. They're deploying mines, LMFG, which I figured they were going to do this. They're deploying mines within the Strait as we speak. I want your take on this because if this is going on, if we're getting these mines, they're serious, LMFG, there would be no escorts. And I don't think there will be any sane skipper that is going to sell any type of container or any type of oil tanker through a minefield, brother. I mean, the Strait of, if you thought it was a choke point, if you thought it was going to be really close, you better believe it. No one's even going to attempt to try to navigate through sea mines. What's your take on this, bro? Because this is what's happening.
Yeah, well, if that's what they're doing, Jesus, that's crazy. Because then you got to clean it up. How you going to get in there and get rid of them things?
Well, they've done this before, and they've swept. There's a way to get this, cleaned up because they've done this before. I remember going on like 20 years ago, I believe. It could be longer than that. I remember hearing about this, being done, and apparently, there's been containers going through, until this, particular conflict, kind of started out. And so they did clean these. I think you can deactivate them too as well. I don't think you have to, clean them. I think they can be deactivated. I'm not a mine historian. I'm not a mine tech, but I'm just saying I'm pretty sure this technology can be deactivated. I don't know. Some would say, and I've asked somebody about this just a couple of minutes ago because I wanted to bring this up, deactivation. Say it's kind of like pulling a pin out of a grenade. You know what I mean? I guess you can put the pin back in. I don't know. I need to get into more of this research because this is what's happening. And the report of the escort was false. There will be no escorts. That was very bullish for the oil market. That was very bullish when, President Trump says we're going to stop. All the stocks pumped up. Bitcoin pumped. All of that was a lie. It was just pure manipulation so the Winklevoss twins can sell their Bitcoin. I'm just saying. That's why I'm very, very, very cautious about this pump. It's a trap. And as you can see, the trap is being closed. People are getting snared into this. So this particular situation, you talk about a choke point. My God. We're talking about mines that are being placed right now. So if any vessel tries to get through there, I mean, nobody's covered. There's no insurance coverage there. So even secondary, extended, insurance like vessel insurance, forget about the cargo and the life insurance, vessel insurance. You think these guys are going to do that? Hell no. And to actually run our Navy through this right now would be catastrophic. Because I don't know if you guys understand that. They can shoot these missiles from 300 kilometers away. The missile tech was way greater, and I think Trump actually admitted this in his speech last night. They underestimated Iran greatly.
Yeah, a lot more power than what we thought. Well, they've been buying this probably for 10 years. They've just been building them, and they're going to keep on building. And so when they want to pull the trigger, they can. And here you go. And like you said, I couldn't believe it when I seen those trucks with the drones.
Yeah.
I mean, they have thousands and thousands of them things hidden in the mountains and factories you don't even know. Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. We got 100. Okay, I got you, brother.
5 minutes. I'll be back in a bit.
I got you, brother. So just to report, she reported on the troops injured as well. It's well over 1,200. They're only reporting 150 U.S. troops. UK reports as 1,500 guys. Okay, so we're losing our boys to this. We're losing a lot of our assets as well. I think 100% of the THAAD systems that were in South Korea, they were actually migrated to the Gulf region. So South Korea is on their own. They have no missile defense system in South Korea. It has all been extracted and actually migrated to the Gulf Coast. So, prayers goes to South Korea. If North Korea decides to shake a stick, my Lord, there's no defense. I think you're probably going to see a peace treaty really quick. You're going to see a united Korea really quick, because if I'm, running the South Side, I'm talking to Kim Jong-un and say, hey man, let's go ahead and we need to shake hands. We need to become friends. We need to figure this out because we have no defense. So be looking for some interesting, geopolitical, ongoings in Korea. I think if I'm South Korea, I'm going to make the smarter move because they have no missile defense, as I know of. From what I'm reading, the THAAD systems are no more. So maybe they have some Patriot batteries. I don't know, but we're running very low on interceptors. Everybody knows that. So 150, officially reported U.S. soldiers have been injured. Some of them have been unalived as well. They don't want to report that, but that, it is what it is, It is what it is. So I want to get into Blumenthal's actual speech because this is what one of the actual reporters actually spoke of is Blumenthal. And I need to get to my bookmarks because he has some seething remarks when it comes to what actually occurred. Let's go ahead and get into this.
I emerged from this briefing as dissatisfied and angry, frankly, as I have from any past briefing in my 15 years in the Senate. I am left with more questions than answers, especially about the cost of the war. My questions have been unanswered, and I will demand answers because the American people deserve to know. And I guess I am most concerned about the threat to American lives of potentially deploying our sons and daughters on the ground in Iran. We seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here. And there is also, as disturbingly as anything else, the specter of active Russian aid to Iran, putting in danger American lives. Literally, Russia seems to be aiding our enemy actively and intensively with intelligence and perhaps with other means, and China also may be assisting Iran. So the American people deserve to know much more than this administration has told them about the cost of the war, the danger to our sons and daughters in uniform, and the potential for further escalation and widening of this war, a war of choice made by this president, not chosen by the American people, with potentially huge consequences to American lives.
Now, if you really want to know the cost of the war, let's go and get into that because we're well over $10 billion. Okay. And what Blumenthal said was totally true. Misguided, underreported, actualities. What's really going on with this situation. You really want to know the cost of this war? There you go. 10 billion, 10.6 billion and counting. We're going on almost 11 days, guys. So Here's the human cost. So far, 8 have been unalived. This is the reporting, but there's way more, guys. But way more. They're understating the U.S. service members who have perished, and it's unfortunate. Rest their soul. But I think this is a disservice to the country to understate the perished soldiers, the perished American military members that have perished. To understate that is crazy to me. Iranian military, well over 2,100 unalived. That report is accurate. I think it's an understatement. Civilians unalived, 1,400 plus, with 12,000 wounded. They really need to update the U.S. service members because it's way more than 8. Okay. It's sad that they're not really reporting. We deserve to know the truth. We're not kids. We're grown men and women. We can take the truth, right? So we're going on $11 billion when it comes to this war. We got a $40 trillion debt cycle that we can barely pay. I don't think we can. The interest on that debt is more than the military budget, and that military budget just got extended. We are so screwed financially, fiscally. We're a mess. So what we're doing right now makes no sense to me when it comes to the financials, when it comes to our situation. LMFG, I don't know if you're back with us. What's your take, bro, so far? If you're there, brother, you may not be there. And I think he's still out of pocket here. I'll leave it at that. You see the debt. You see the national debt. Just add 10 billion to that. We're going to be south of 60 trillion real quick. And if this is a forever war, I don't see how financially this country survives another month of this, honestly. Especially when you have the financial crunch on the ground. You have a massive pullback in retail sales. Okay. People aren't spending money. Fast food giants are collapsing right now. And, I would recommend not eat fast food, but it is what it is. You do what you want. That industry is collapsing. That's why you see the CEOs making fools of themselves. The McDonald's CEO made a fool of himself. Burger King. All kind of CEOs of fast food conglomerates are making weird commercials because their actual franchisees are actually collapsing and going bankrupt because people don't have the money to pay $20 for a Happy Meal or for a Big Mac or some crazy prices, man, that you're getting right now for your fast food choices. When you can just make the shit at home. People are becoming cooks, man. They're going to culinary school. They're trying to. It's crazy. Back. You're back. What's your take, bro? Because I kind of went on a diatribe there. This is really pissing me off. But I got the amount that's costing right now. Going on 11 days, 10 billion, 10.6. What's your take on? And we'll go back to Caroline. What's your take on everything so far, bro? It's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier. It's like, how many hundreds of millions? And I said, no, it's probably going to get into the hundreds of billions eventually. Every one of our missiles, how much some things cost. Some of these things are millions, right?
And they're taking down $30,000 drones. That's the thing. Yeah. That math ain't mathing, bro.
It's not. You're up there. You look at the clock right there running. That tells it right there.
Yeah, no, that's the actually military debt piling up, bro. That's $10 billion strong. And that's how much it's costing. And we're about to run it up even more. I think you're going to get pretty close to $1 trillion. If this thing goes on for 5 more months, God forbid, oil is going to be $250 a barrel. Because they are literally putting mines. Now, how does this affect crypto? Well, Bitcoin is dumping right now. It's almost back to 69,000. Let's go and get into the metrics here because as we pivot back to Bitcoin, it's very bearish. 70,000. We were pushing almost 72, guys. So you can see this cliff right here. I told you this is a trap. A lot of people were buying all the way up this ladder. I was looking at the inflow, the money index. People were happy. They were liking what Trump was saying. They were loving the fact that this fake tweet came out saying that, the ships were being, our Navy successfully escorted a ship. Whoever fired that tweet from the government side needs to be fired. Needs to be fired. That was massive manipulation right there. You need to be fired. Actually, we need to know who you are because this is causing a lot of people to lose a lot of money, bro. A lot of people, and I'm gonna tell you, the oil shorts and longs right now are crazy. They're getting decimated right now. The longs. Whoever shorted oil, yeah, they're going to get decimated too. But if you're long in oil, you're probably going to make a lot of money because it's already rising. So, and that's the 24/7 aspect of crypto when it comes to gold and oil shorting. I mean, you can't beat that, bro. That's one of the advantages of crypto. You got BTC acting as a true hedge. It is a life raft at this point in time. As soon as Trump said there were some, small, any type of de-escalation, measures, everybody started buying, bro. Oil dump, massive manipulations. We're finding out now that there were no escorts. There have been no tankers except for the ones that were headed to China and Russia. They get free pass. They get a free pass, right? They get a bouquet of flowers, some chocolates, Have a good sale, guys. Let us know when you're coming back. They get a free pass, but everybody else, be very careful. Be mindful that you will get blown out the water. I think some of our tankers actually got hit, LMFG. Did you get that? Did you saw that? I think they took out some of our tankers because apparently some of the skippers tried to actually call the bluff and they got popped. I saw that over the weekend, saw the pictures in the video.
No, I did not see that.
Because they're taking the lead. They're hearing what Trump is saying. They're like, okay, it's good. Let's go, guys. Trump said it's okay. They're getting their asses blown out the water, bro. This is crazy what's happening. And it's happening in real time. This is what's so crazy about it. So this is how crypto is actually benefited from 24/7 platforms dominating trading. All right. Especially over the weekend. Huge volumes when it comes to oil and gold, perps. Crazy volume, LMFG, with the oil and the gold perps. Crazy. But here's the drawback. Iran owns around almost $8 billion when it comes to the crypto market. Just when Iran, you're talking about 90 million people. I think well over half of those people are invested in crypto. 90, just in case you didn't know, Iran is over 90 million strong and they are united. Let that sink in. So the crypto market in that area is soaking up over $8 billion. All right. They are selling their crypto just so they can dodge the sanctions that are coming and to actually bring in some cash. LMFG, this is nobody's talking about this. $8 billion is about to lead the market. What's your take on that? We don't see the tweets about that. Everybody is copying what's coming on off the White House press page, off the government page, and they're copying and pasting that. And they're all lies. All of these ex-posters that were posting the Strait of Hormuz news earlier today, getting engagement. They're eating crow right now. They're having to come back and delete their tweets, apologize to their followers. And some of them are just being very, very mute about the situation. What's your take on this massive outflow when it comes to the Iranians that are exiting the market to the tune of $8 billion?
Yeah, it's ugly. I don't know if they're actually dumping out either, dude. Who knows what they're doing? Right?
You think they're moving to? Well, they're trying to dodge the sanctions too.
Trying to look for yield.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, like I said, I'm a long-term guy, brother.
Yeah.
This shit goes down to 60 grand. Imagine the alts again. All of them are gonna dive again. A little more DCA. I don't know. That's all I got. That's the way I'm at, man.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. So
it's been 5-6 years of this going on like this. It's crazy. And every time there's a little bit of news, boom, it goes crazy.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be news no matter what.
Yeah, I think this news cycle is different, bro. I mean, you have the bond market that's collapsing too as well.
Yeah, nothing we've seen so far.
Yeah,
with institutional monies there, and this is uncharted waters, big time.
It really is, man. Futures is starting to slide back in the red. Stocks are starting to. S&P is about to go negative here. It's trying to really fight, but S&P is about to go negative. So everybody's trying to figure it out, man. The TVO still looking good above 3%. Let me do a refresh on the TVO. We're talking cryptocurrency. Oh no, that thing just took a dive too. See, this is what I'm saying. When we have the actual administration lying to people just to manipulate these markets so their buddies can actually cash out, we're going back down, guys. And then we actually get the truth that comes out. There was no escorting, right? G7 came out and said, we're not releasing any reserves. See, that was a big thing over the weekend too. The G7 ministry, they were going to, everybody was posting, they're going to release the reserves. You know, that helped oil go down too as well. That was very bullish. And that started that trend down when it comes to the oil. Cryptocurrency market pumped, stock markets pumped. Yeah, G7, these countries are going to release massive reserves. That's going to help. They came out and said, hell no. Are you nuts? Are you crazy? We're not doing that. We're not going to release anything. We don't see a strategic risk. LMFG, I don't know what they're looking at. They just dropped mines in the strait, bro. So if that's not a bona fide strategic risk, I don't know, bro. You have UK. I think the UK is like a couple of days. They're going to be out of oil. Australia, 90% of their oil. And I think a lot of the LNG comes out of the strait, bro. We're talking about an entire landmass. 90% comes out of the Gulf. So I don't know what they're looking at when it comes to strategic risk. I don't know what the hell they're looking at, but the G7, they say they're going to be monitoring the issue, but they are not going to be releasing any reserves at this point in time. And as far as I'm concerned, over in this country, we're tapped out. Our reserves are so low, bro, because they were never replenished. It's already been said. We're not releasing any reserves. So LMFG, unfortunately, this bounce back down is probably going to be very catastrophic. And we're getting some very inflamed rhetoric from Iran, the new leadership. Khamenei's son, he's saying, bring it on. We're ready for you. We have the doomsday plan playing. You know, it's on site. We have subs all around the strait, ready to go. Let's be real. We need to prepare for major portfolio hits. We need to prepare for major reduction, and not only in global TVO, which the actual global TVO across the board right now just went down negative after being up almost 3%. So that's a massive reductive retrace of global TVO within the last 24 hours. We do see Bitcoin trying to fight for 70K. And I got to tell you, that floor is 69 LMFG. What's your floor on there? I got a $69,000 floor. This is what I have it here.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And we got all kinds of numbers coming out this week too, don't we?
Well, this is going to affect the Fed decision too as well. Fed policy is going to be affected.
Yeah. I say he stays status quo again. Like I said that a while ago, I bet he does not touch the rate again. He's not going to drop it.
No, he may go up, brother. He may go up.
Possible. Put it up. Oh, that'll be bad.
No, he has no choice. Inflation is going to spike hard.
Yeah, I understand, but it'd be bad for the markets. Let me tell you.
Oh, absolutely. That's a
60K.
That's a double whammy.
60K, 55 for Bitcoin.
We're talking about a double whammy right there, big time. So, yeah, plan accordingly. Plan accordingly. And the way this oil is looking right now, I would probably stock up on some fuel, because that bounce up, this bounce down is going to be very violent. And we already got a little, we got a little insight on what it's going to look like. I think Cali went up to like $7 a gallon. I think in Florida, you had $5. That's crazy for Florida. They're not used to that in Florida. $5, $5.50 per gallon. It's already very expensive out there. They're not used to that. I don't think anybody on the East Coast is used to $5 to $6 a gallon. Definitely here in Texas, we're not used to that. So, out west, they're used to that. So you can double that. Can you imagine $10? We're talking regular unleaded, regular base fuel, $10 a gallon. How are you going to navigate that? How are these families going to navigate that? You think they're going to continue to invest in cryptocurrency? You think they're going to continue to pump their portfolio? They're going to cash the freak out just to stay alive.
Yeah, I seen it's already at like $6.50 a gallon in California.
There you go. So if you think people, especially retail, you think they're going to hold their bags? Hell no. They're going to survive. And that's going to cause a level of dumpage that's not really being priced in, guys. And I'm talking stocks too as well. A lot of portfolios are going to cash out just to stay above water. That's going to reset this market along with what's going on geopolitically. I think, and I called this reset a year ago. I didn't think it was going to be this dramatic. My equation never had Iran in the numbers. I never put that in the equations. I never put that in the math. I never thought we would be here right now with a weird situation going on in the Straits affecting the markets as we see today. This was not baked in the cake. I'm sorry. And if an analyst is telling you this is what they knew, bullshit. Nobody had this baked in the cake, LMFG. So this is throwing off a lot of estimates. This is throwing off the Fed. I'm sure Jerome Powell's like, what the hell are we dealing with? You know? So price target short term, 72 to 75,000 possible for this month. I believe Bitcoin could possibly get to 75,000, especially if this thing goes berserk. It's a life raft. We already know. There's going to be a massive rotation. You have selling right now, of course, because it's correcting. You can see on the chart. It's a massive correction going on because it was a false narrative created. Okay. There will be no escorts. Oil is going to be paralyzed for some time. So we're going to correct back to 65. Unfortunately, we're going to breach this. We're breaching the actual floor right now. So we're going back down 65. I think that's a comfortable spot. This is what we've seen happen. Kind of a consolidative effort with a floor of $65,000. 75,000 is possible this month, especially if everything goes crazy. People are going to run back to Bitcoin. Gold is still over 5K. So that particular hedge is still solid. LMFG silver, copper still above $5. Crazy metal action. But you have this rogue scenario that's been created by Henrik Zerberg. He's saying $110,000 to $120,000 by the end of March. LMFG, this is crazy lunacy. JS 2427 says, what are they saying about oil? Dropped heavily. This is what we're talking about. See, that was a false narrative, JS. That was a false narrative. There will be no, and the reason why oil is dropping is because the G7, they met today. Everybody thought they was going to release their reserves. They said no. That was a false narrative that was struck down. And then you had this situation where there was a false tweet that came out that was deleted by the White House that said that our Navy actually successfully escorted a couple of tankers through the Straits. That was a lie. So all of that is being retracted. You're going to see a major correction in oil. Actually, it's already almost up to 90. Let me check it. It's already back up to 90. Yeah, so you have Brent oil. It's pushing $90 again. Crude oil is at 85. It's going to be back up above $90. Everything is soft correcting at this point in time. What is up, Jay? Welcome to the show, brother. Jay Thacker says buy metals. You damn right. You better get some metals. So this is what we have. Soft correction back up for oil. Everything is correcting. S&P is going to be going negative probably later this evening. You're going to see a correction in the actual futures as well. So it is what it is. It is what it is. When we're looking at the TVL was looking so beautiful. Up almost 4% across the board. Blockchain TVL, DeFi TVL, it's down negative as well. So you see that correction in the TVL as well. So this is what we're talking about, guys. This is what's happening. LMFG, when it comes to Bitcoin and when it comes to the entire market, we see the pullback. IRS is telling us everybody's paralyzed. You look at all these investors, and I'll put this up. This is a paralyzed market, LMFG. Look at this. It's a beautiful balance, but we already know why it's so balanced. It's not because the environment is bullish and everybody is holding and, buying dips. These are a lot of paralyzed investors and a lot of altcoins that do not know what the hell to do and how to move. What's your take on this RSI? I'm sorry. This is very telling.
Yeah, it's just been floating there like 45 to 50 for what? A couple of weeks now.
A couple of weeks, man.
Yeah. Just like I'm saying, it's like, I don't know. Be careful.
I think you're smart. Just stay put. You don't want to take a loss, right? And if you see a dip in something solidify, the dev team is still there. They haven't ran away from me. They haven't went incognito. They're not pushing a lot of BS, right? They're still there. They're hanging tough. The protocols and the blockchain ecosystems that the coins that you're holding that represent those particular set of ecosystems and blockchain technology. Hopefully you're in some RWA tech as well. You're in constant communication. The devs are communicating. The community is vibrant. Yeah, you want to hold those because they're going to fly. When the coast is clear, obviously, and you want to buy those dips too as well. Paper hands are going to sell. So if you're in that position, hell yeah, you're doing the right thing. And I'm believing these are a lot, and I'm looking at a lot of the actual ecosystems that are in this RSI. And these are very smart people. They're holding solidified platforms. They're not moving. They're not fear selling, and they're buying the dips. That's a smart way to trade because you're going to get some more dips. Just keep in touch with that dev team. Make sure that dev team is not leaving the back room. Make sure the TG is still operable and, you know, it's not shut down. You can still communicate and everything is good. They're just holding tight, you know, holding the fort down until the smoke clears. Just make sure you're holding something solidified. I mean, am I wrong, LMFG? I'm just trying to give the best advice I can because this is pretty bearish.
Yeah, by all means, man. You'll see these blue chips, like I said, the ones that are around here another 5-10 years from now, you're going to be extremely happy. Rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So we're going to see some pullbacks. A lot of the fake news that was reported is being actually weeded out. A lot of people are calling bullshit on a lot of stuff that we were told. Okay. And it turned out to be BS. You know, again, there were no escorts. The strait is closed. In fact, they just laid down mines. So it's officially a no-brainer not to go through there. Am I right, brother? If I'm a skipper, I'm not selling my vessel through there, bro. We're going to go ahead and the thing is.
No way. And what about the pollution? You said they took one out or a couple out already?
Yeah, it was two. Yeah. Those are U.S. tankers too. Yeah.
That oil destroys so much in the water. It's off the wall.
Well, here's the thing. The actual oil refinery that was taken out in Iran, I think they're still on fire. You know, when they did that in Iraq, Desert Storm, you know, those things burn for like what, 3-4 months, 6 months. You know, that produces acid rain.
Yeah, they can't put them out.
It was fire coming out the sewer system, bro, in Iran. I've seen the videos. Fire was coming out of the sewer. It's crazy what then that's a war crime. That is a war crime if you didn't know. The actual hit on the Indian vessel that was coming back from the exercise, that was a war crime. That was a war crime. Article 18. Okay. You have to provide aid for sailors or you know, seamen that are in distress, especially when they're unarmed and coming from a freaking exercise. 87 perished. No life raft. No assistance. That's a war crime. So there's a lot of bad things that are happening right now. Okay. And it's really tearing up the markets. And a lot of people, you look at this RSI, man, they are paralyzed. They don't know what to do. Because if you sell, you're going to take a loss. So, you know, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So, you know, let's go ahead and, I think Carolina's done. I don't know if you're still talking. We can actually go back to that and finish that up here.
And why Northern Kentucky?
Well, why not? These are two great states with great Americans.
Just wanted to know why they were chosen.
Great states with great Americans. The president will be joined by lawmakers from both states who he greatly admires and respects and supports. And he'll be meeting with business owners in both of these places and talking about the economy, which is, of course, the utmost importance to him.
Caroline.
Thank you. Last week, the Energy Secretary issued a waiver for India to get oil, Russian oils during this energy crisis.
Yes.
Have you spoken to President about it? What's the idea behind this?
Have I spoken to the president about it?
Yeah.
Yes, I have spoken to the president about it. And the president and the Secretary of Treasury and the whole national security team came to this decision because our allies in India, as you know, Lalit, have been good actors and have previously stopped buying sanctioned Russian oil. So as we work to appease this temporary gap of oil supply around the world because of the Iranians, we have temporarily permitted them to accept that Russian oil. And this Russian oil was already at sea. It was already out on the water. So this short-term measure, we don't believe it will provide significant financial benefit to the Russian government at this time.
So we will end at that because we're getting some softball questions here. And that was a big thing too. You know, the Russians, everybody was like, okay, what about the sanctions? You know, they're going to start benefiting. They're going to get a solid deal. You know, India's going to jump ship. You know, I think honestly, bro, tell me if I'm wrong about this. I feel like during these times right here with the strait being closed, a lot of those Gulf states, and I think we had some desalination plants that were hit too as well. That's a war crime. I don't know, whoever hit them, they committed a war crime. The desalination plants should be off freaking limits, bro. You're affecting so many innocent people when you destroy that water purification system because that's all they depend on. surrounded by salt water. So there are no fresh wells. There are no springs out there, LMFG. So if you're targeting them, that's nasty work. But I digress from that. I want to get into these two reports here. One about the Clarity Act and about the OCC being sued by the banks. Did you catch that, bro? Because
yep, I saw that. Leave it to Diamond and Pink.
bro, this is crazy work right here. Now, let's get into this, and then we'll get it. New Clarity Act debate heats up as bank lobbyists weigh OCC lawsuit, and they're attacking the charters. I think they're losing that stablecoin yield fight because all of a sudden they've diverted. You know what I'm saying? I think and that is absolutely fantastic. You know, can I get a hand clap? I want to go ahead and clap for that. And I don't think it's all crap there. I think I lost my battery. Hand clap to that because I want my yield, and I think they're losing that fight. So they pivot towards attacking the charter. I didn't think I was ever going to say this. I think the banks are losing, bro. Now, the Bank Policy Institute is basically reportedly considering legal action against the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. Now, it's OCC. The dispute centers around crypto firms receiving National Trust Bank charters. According to The Guardian, now double check, this is all over the place, man. Bank groups argue banks argue that the actual bank charter moves introduce risk to the financial system. This is a bunch of BS, guys. You know, they're just really scared right now because we're talking about fintech outfits like PayPal, Cash App getting bank charters. That is crazy, but this is what's happening, you know?
And 2 weeks ago, Diamond said, if you want to be a bank, then be a bank.
Well, they're going to do it.
These charters, and now he's like, hey, you can't do that, sue them.
Yeah.
You make shit up, brother. You just can't.
You cannot. It's like, okay, you want us to do this? Well, we're going to go ahead and file this freaking paperwork. And then they're like, wait a minute, we didn't mean that. Literally. Yeah, go suck on one because we're going to do it. I'm sorry. This is funny.
It's funny. Yep.
So
it's just funny as hell.
It's hilarious, bro. You know, I was giving these banks a lot of credit, but they're buffoons. And I can see them tail spinning. They're losing. And I'm so happy. And I'm gonna read this again. Bank groups argue to move and actually these institutional fintechs, you know, in these like World Liberty Finance, basically crypto DeFi platforms that are filing for charters is a risk. No, guys, this is gonna hurt our account holders. This is bad. BS. You're just being rendered slowly obsolete. This is what's happening to the old archaic brick and mortar. Good riddance. Now, several digital asset firms have already secured conditional approvals. Critics say that the policy shift expands crypto access to banking infrastructure. You're damn right. The conflict unfolds as lawmakers debate broader crypto oversight under the Clarity Act. So this is what's happening. There's some really cool tweets up here. Abe says, could this lawsuit slow down crypto banks' expansion? Absolutely. And see, here's the thing. Vault had it. This is my sentiment as well. I think this is a broader sentiment. The banks, particularly the ones in the U.S., are panicking. J.P. Morgan and the BPI, and I think Goldman Sachs too as well, are so scared of Circle and Ripple. You're damn right. Getting bank charters that they're literally threatening to sue their own regulator. This is what's happening. Now, he hit it right on the nail, bro.
I love it.
He hit it right on the nail, bro. Now, let me continue with this. This dude nailed it. Now, they know that the Clarity Act is the beginning and the end of their walled garden. While they fight in court, the 20 millionth Bitcoin has been already mined. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. There's only 1,000 left. Mined and the exit is wide open. You can't stop an ideal whose time has come. 100%. So this guy nailed it. And I was going to get into that, bro, about the Bitcoin. Very, very, really cool milestone there. Only 1 million. What's your take on that, bro? Only 1 million left, bro.
Yep, 1 million left. That's it. So there you go.
Beautiful. So 95%. I never thought I would see that. Wow. We're getting there. And then it's very unfortunate.
I just don't like all the miners closing down. So we're getting, not as decentralized as we were. How far will that go? That's my only thought,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
This thing starts taking off again. A lot of these miners are shutting down. They may not be dumping their equipment right off the bat.
Oh, no.
Just saving money's on the power and air conditioning and all that, and they still got that there. This shit starts taking off. What's going to stop them from just firing those machines back up? That's why I love it.
Absolutely. Well,
we'll see.
What they're doing is they're pointing their actual hardware towards AI, brother. This is where the money is. They're pointing their rigs and their computers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing. And AI is loving that because they're having a hard time getting these data centers on board. A lot of these different counties, and I know we're supposed to get the biggest one in the country. Maybe we have a lot of AI data centers there in the Gulf Coast that may be decimated in the coming weeks. That's going to slow down the internet. That's going to slow down Amazon. That's going to create havoc. I think an Amazon data center already got destroyed. So, and I didn't bring that up. AI is in trouble because if Iran really goes berserk, they're going to blow up all the data centers. And pretty much AI is that's the epicenter, guys. The Gulf Coast is the linchpin of the economy, guys, of the actual stock market activity. It is the linchpin. If they go berserk, if nukes go off, it's a wrap. We're going to get knocked back to the Stone Age. I am not joking. This is very serious what's happening here in the Gulf Coast. Very serious. So we have this breaking report to Israel. Oil prices have surged above 85. I told you guys we're getting back to 90. Probably be back at over 100 by the weekend. As reports that the U.S. intelligence has begun to indicate that Iran is deploying mines in the Strait of Hormuz per CBS. So CBS is reporting this across the airwaves. So, and we talked about the mines. Oil prices are up almost 10%. I mean, up almost $10 within 50 minutes. So that correction is happening, LMFG. That is going to tank the markets once again. You see the Bitcoin pullback. We're at 69, going back to 65,000. We already talked about this. So U.S. energy sector says U.S. Navy escorted a ship through the Strait of Hormuz. And this came from the United States Energy Secretary's X page, official page. Who in the hell is running that page? Because this is an absolute lie. All right. Shortly after that was posted, the actual from a government X page, it was then deleted. The post, because it never happened, guys. So we're back. This is one of the weirdest actual intervals of this year. And then everybody's retracting their tweets. We have Spencer Hackman, which is a shill. U.S. Navy escorted an oil tanker through the Straits of Hormuz. He is now apologizing for this tweet. You should always verify which, and I've been victim of this. That's why I'm very careful. I try to be so careful of what I see, and I try to verify it before I retweet it. Because I've been caught up like this too. It's so easy because X is so full of BS right now. LMFG. You have to really double check on what you have going on. So here's the latest report on this from Kabasi report, and we'll go ahead and get to the member giveaway. We'll end up with this, and this is it. Actually, we're going to end with Colonel McGregor's actual last remarks on what's going on here when it comes to the Iran war, and he's very credible, by the way. There's two generals that are on YouTube, very credible. They have been knocking this out the park. They have been actually predicting everything very, very, very accurately, and their predictions are grim. We're probably looking at some nukes if this thing goes off, if it continues. This is the breaking report from Kabasi report. The U.S. has asked Israel to stop its strikes, guys, on Iran energy infrastructure, particularly oil assets per Axios, because it's a freaking war crime. LMFG. They've committed. It's already done. They've already committed the crime. That the oil refineries are offline and they're burning. George Bush did the same thing in Iraq. Did the same thing in Iraq. This play is right out of the Bush administration playbook. I swear to God. Now, details include President Trump aims to cooperate with Iran's oil sector after the war. Yeah, right. The request marks the first time the Trump administration has restricted Israel since the war began. So apparently they've put a leash on Israel. LMFG. This is a breaking report. Just dropped. Okay, Kabasi letter, a very reputable page here. I suggest you guys follow at Kabasi letter. Very reputable page. They have been accurate on everything. Almost 100% out. Okay. And they're just verifying what they're posting. That's what it is. They're doing their due diligence. Now, number 3. This is number 3 stipulation. Their fears are growing that strikes could trigger massive Iranian retaliatory attacks, unquote, on energy infrastructure across the Gulf states. So the U.S. is concerned that continued strikes will send oil prices higher again. Absolutely, it's already happening. Just the actual presence of the mines basically closes the strait indefinitely, LMFG. We're talking mines being deployed. So there is no workaround at this point in time. The Iranians have said it's done. It's a wrap. Obviously, the Chinese vessels, they're gonna know how to navigate through that. We are seeing unprecedented volatility in the oil market right now, especially the stocks and crypto as well. So Trump is basically saying to Israel, please do not hit infrastructure again. Stay away from the oil assets, because if you do not, Iran is going to tag every refinery in the region. And they can actually do that. They are literally deploying and shooting high technology out of the freaking side of mountains, LMFG. These missiles are coming out of the ground. There are no launchers present. I don't even listen. Their actual missile infrastructure is like, what, 20 feet underground? Dude, I don't even understand this. How you can even build something like this. I've been really doing a lot of research on this. I think it's pretty genius, you know. But this is what Trump is doing. This is a major retraction to what is being said by Hegseth. So I can't wait to hear Hegseth once again and see how much he diverges from what we're reading here, because, you know, per Kabasi letter, there's a big pullback from the policy when it comes to America. And basically they're putting a leash on Israel. They're saying, do not attack the oil refineries. Stay away from Iranian energy infrastructure. And for God's sake, stay away from the salidation plants too as well. Two huge war crimes there. LMFG, your parting take as we move to the giveaway, brother.
Yeah, when they hit that salinization, I'm hoping that was just a miss or something haywire with that missile, because you're talking innocent people, man.
Absolutely.
They need that water. That's the only place you get water, you know?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's on a huge island. You can't even get water out of a well.
No, you can't. There's no fresh springs or nothing like that. Yeah, they depend on that, man. You know? I think that's a low blow. That's a kick in the nuts, man. You're affecting children and kids and, you know, people who are not affected, innocents, man. You know, I think at some point, but anyway, you know, I'll digress. I think Carolyn's done there, so I think we're done there. We're going to get this member giveaway done. We do this every week, guys. I hope you enjoy the member update. I got another one coming. And I think I had a request. It says, can you make a video from Saya 1780? Can you make a video on which coin you should hold long term? I'm going to get that out of there for you. We're going to post that and we're going to get that for you guys, for the members. I got some great long term holds that I'm going to recommend as well. There's two new ones too that are about to deploy here. And honestly, I think the devs are going to wait until all of this kind of like chills out a little bit, wait until the clouds clear, but we'll give you some insight on that as well. So I'm going to definitely get that out. Long-term hold coins and tokens and ecosystems. I got 2 surprises for you too, guys. So we're going to get that out. Appreciate the request too. We're going to get that out, but all you have to do is interact with the member content, guys. You get on this wheel, and obviously you got to be a member of the channel as well. And that qualifies you for a chance to win some Solana, and we give out cash every week to 3 members. All right. And I wanted to switch over. We did Bitcoin for a while, but it was slow. It was so slow. It was so slow to trend to give out the rewards. It took forever. This is why I don't understand why people think Bitcoin is going to be able to survive when it comes to payments. They're going to have to speed that shit up because, when it comes to transactions within the space, it takes so long. So we went back to Sol. So if you guys have any other coins that you like and you want to switch to, maybe a week or 2, we can do that. Just, send me a DM on some suggestions, but we're going to stick with Sol. Those payments go out really quick. This is what I like about Sol. So let's get this going. It's a good spin. All right, so who do we have here? Looks like we're gonna have it's a close one. I ain't gonna call that one. So Lala, I really thought Mac Yankee was gonna win that, brother. So we have La La Land 786 is gonna be that winner. I thought Mac Yank was gonna actually pull that off, but it was La La Land. So let's get 2 more. I think I'm pronouncing that right. You know, LMFG, look at this right here. Ooh, LMFG. What, are you greasing the wheel, my friend? Did you put some grease on this wheel? Because you are number 2, brother. You are number 2 winner. Congratulations to you. Let's go. You've been having a pretty good couple of weeks, bro.
That's crazy.
That's never happened.
I just gave away the $50, but I'm having a hard time to get the recording to you.
Oh, yeah, man. So we can post that. That's great, man. That's pretty cool. So it looks like the third one is going to be Cespasonia. I think that's how you pronounce that. So Cespasonia. I'm probably screwing up that tag, but you are the last winner. So let's go ahead and do a recap because that's pretty cool. LMFG, man, yeah, I think you did something to the wheel. I'm going to have to pop this hood, man, see if he put some, what did you do, brother? Because this has never happened before. So you had an off week and then you came back and won again.
You think I hacked into your machine or something?
Man, I think, you're a techie. You're an old school techie. I think you did something, man. I'm going to have to get a VPN going or something. But yeah, I'm just joking, guys. This is full disclosure on this. You guys see this spin. This is crazy though. But hand clap to you, brother. And La La Land is going to be the first one. Hand clap to La La Land. That's going to be the first one. Obviously, LMFG, you are the second one. And then I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. Cespasonia. I'm pretty sure I'm screwing that up, but you are going to round up that winner group. So we got the 3 winners. You guys know what you need to do. Just hit me up and give me that soul address, and I'm going to get your prize to you. And I'm going to try to get that to you before I go to work too as well. So hopefully you guys can give me your addresses really quickly so I can get you those, get you the cash very, very quickly. All right. So yeah, that's really cool. Now, just before we get back, guys, this is going to be your war ticker. This is what's costing us to do what we're doing. We're LMFG, we're getting really close to $11 billion when it comes to this war effort. Your take on the report?
I wouldn't doubt it if that's not double that.
It is. Tim said. Tim said. He said this under review.
We have thousands of troops out there flying these planes, refueling them, feeding the guys. We realize they eat 3 meals a day, and it's not just us. It's that may be our bill. What about everybody else's bill? Because you got a lot of other countries that are helping out with this. So this is ridiculous. It's so horrible. I just hate to see it. I just hope somehow this thing gets resolved quick. That's
well, you know what? Yeah, that was a great take, bro. And while you were saying that, look at what just popped here. It's funny that, oh man, where's it at? Don't go anywhere because I want to show you guys this. Look what just popped here on Polymark says breaking. U.S. warns Strait of Hormuz disruption, which we do have mines now, could cause food shortages. So not only are we talking about, the oil situation, commodities, things of that nature, food shortages. Now they're coming out and saying food shortages. And you just got through talking about food. So this is getting serious, guys. This is getting a very, very freaking serious, man. And I want to end the broadcast with Colonel McGregor. I want to play you guys this. This is a couple of minutes here, and we're on Tucker Carlson. This dude has been nailing it. This is one of the colonels, so one of our veterans. Colonel McGregor says Netanyahu fully prepared to use nukes if Iran refuses to submit to his demands. And this is how we're going to end this. Let me know what you think about this.
If a nuclear weapon is used, it will be by Netanyahu and his government, not us.
Yes, good.
I met and talked with President Trump. I like President Trump personally. And you can say what you will about the man, but I see no evidence that he would be talked into that by Mr. Netanyahu. I just don't. I hope I'm not wrong, but I just don't see that happening. I also see little evidence that people at the top of the military establishment collectively would sign on for that. You might get a few. Unfortunately, most of them are airmen or in the Navy, but I don't think they would be very supportive. I think they'd say, is this really the right place, time, and reason?
Yes.
Because increasingly we view nuclear weapons as something that protects your territorial integrity. Everybody knows that if you try to invade the United States from Canada or Mexico, we'll nuke you. No question about it, right? But why would we do that with Iran? But Israel is different, as we've discussed. And the more desperate...
Did he just threaten to nuke Canada if they came over? Did I hear that right?
Desperate they become if Iran does not submit. And would we do that with Iran? But Israel is different, as we've discussed. And the more desperate they become if Iran does not submit, and I see no evidence that they will submit, the more likely that option could be embraced and employed. And that's why we started this, because you asked specifically about who has the authority. I hope President Trump does, but I don't think so. I think Mr. Netanyahu is going to do whatever Mr. Netanyahu wants to do.
I mean,
that was chilling, and I think he's right.
Because we're implicated in that, and because the million-odd Americans who live in the region and the energy interest there and just like the fate of the world are all part of this calculation, why wouldn't we bring him to heel and prevent that from happening?
How do you do that? I mean, you're going to have all the people that put you into the White House, that spent billions on your campaigns, who gave you the power, and the Congress that is essentially being purchased by the lobby, not by the lobby directly, but by the Zionist billionaires that pour money into the process to get people elected. You know how that works. What are they going to do? Are any of them going to sober up and go to Trump and say, look, this has gone too far? I don't see any evidence for that.
Well, LMFG. So with that being said, this market is about to get so turbulent. We already have, that happening right now. But great take, my friend. And congratulations to the winners. That was a pretty bearish way to end the show. But I mean, it's really, this is what we're facing, and hopefully Trump does have control of the situation. We see with the Kabasi letter report that he's basically saying, putting a leash on Israel, stop hitting oil refineries, stop hitting desalination plants. Let's start scaling back. This is what I got from that statement there. They're trying to de-escalate this at this point in time, but I think we've went, just like the colonel said, I think we went too far. And this is inflammatory rhetoric, the way we just completely ramshacked that whole leadership. Khomeini is gone, right? The Ayatollah was eliminated. I think we went too far, LMFG, but God is at work here. So, I'm a religious person. So, let's go ahead and put our hands together and let's pray that we get out of this so we can see some green in the market. I want to see Bitcoin get to 150,000. I want to see altcoins fly, right? Because I'm buying dips. I want to see these ecosystems go absolutely nuts in a bull market. And I want to see tokenization. I want to see RWAs take off as well. And I want to see some regulatory language passed, because I think that's going to be the copy and paste across the world, because we can't get our legislation off the ground due to some BS when it comes to the bank. So I think Hoskinson is right. 2029. So with that being said, you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you on the next show. Take it easy.